Hi, everybody. I'm Tim McGuinness with Silver Event Professionals. I'd like you to welcome everybody to our series of informal interviews with leaders in the event industry. These sessions are meant to be fun, brief, and hopefully informative for you. I have the great pleasure today to welcome our guest. She is the CEO and founder of Taffy Event Strategies, and she is also the co founder of Trifecta Collective, Ms. Jenn Hoff. Jenn, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, Jenn. And I know you're down, you're in Orlando right now,
Yep.
moving in the 800-pound gorilla in your portfolio, right?
Yes.
Coverings,
Coverings,
right?
14 million pounds of trade show
Yeah.
crammed into the north-south building here. So
Yeah, just a
beautiful
small
trade.
event, right?
Yeah. It's
So,
tile and stone, so it is beautiful. It's really a beautiful show.
I've never been there. I need to get to that show. So,
Yeah.
anyway, Jen, for those that are listening, um, give us kind of like the 36,000-foot level overview of Taffy and Trifecta, so people kind of get to know the organizations and who the organizations are.
Sure. Sure. So Taffy Events, I founded in 2014. I had spent a lot of time in my career at National Trade Productions, and I left there in 2012. And I did some projects with Vinnie Polito, who a lot of people listening may know. And I worked through in 2014 to start Taffy, and with the intention of creating a show management company. And so that took off, and we managed trade shows for other organization. So sales, marketing, operations, finance, content, put it all together. And we are venturing into a launch that we're just doing next month, or in June, I guess, in the High Performance Expo space in
Great,
Charlotte. So that's really exciting.
great.
As I was going along, getting through COVID and minding my own business, a great friend from the industry, Rick McConnell, approached me, and
Sure.
we started a company called Trifecta Collective, and that was in 2021. And the idea there was to get a partner in the private equity sector and find trade shows to acquire. And we thought maybe there were some opportunities out there. We could help get some shows back on their feet. We could grow a portfolio and see where it took us. So we've purchased a number of shows in a number of different industries, and it's really been fun. And people are always like, how do you manage between the two shows? And one is great team, great foundation with Taffy, and really great support from Rick and Donna Bellantone and all of the rest of the team over there. So we all work together to
So
make sure
you're
make it.
a busy woman, Jen.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
good for
it is
you.
a lot. It is a
Yeah.
lot.
So listen, I want to later on in the discussion, we do want to talk about a little bit more about Taffy and Trifecta, right?
Uh-huh.
Drill down a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you, and this was not part of the. I just thought about this. Where'd you come up with the name Taffy?
Well, that's interesting too. It's Taffy Event Strategies, and Taffy is actually a family name. And a long story short, I was like, I don't want to be an acronym. I don't want to
Right.
be trade shows are us. I
Right.
don't want to do that. So what do I do? So Taffy is a family name. It's actually my grandmother's maiden name.
Okay.
And my friend Kelly Shevlin and I were sitting around, and I said, how do we make it sound more businessy? So we added event strategy. So
Ah.
Taffy Event Strategies.
Okay.
I don't like to acronym it. So
See, I actually thought this is the crazy way that I think, right? I'm just thinking that you were a big fan of, Taffy the candy, and that's,
well,
anyway,
there's all these underlying things. I grew up in Virginia Beach. You can, it's colorful, it's fun. You can
right.
stretch your budget, you can mix it up. There's a lot of taffy stuff you can
Okay.
play around with.
That's a good story. I like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, listen, Jen, I always like to get to know the folks that I'm talking to. So I have hopefully some fun questions that I'm going to ask you, right? And just I want you to answer with the first thing that pops into your head, or hopefully one of the first things that pops into your head. Okay?
The lightning round.
That's right. I know you do a lot of traveling. Window or aisle?
Window.
Why is that?
I like to look out the window,
Okay.
and I sleep, so I lean on the wall.
Got it.
I'm the
Okay.
best sleeper on an airplane you'd ever meet.
Okay. Favorite musician or band?
All right, it sounds like a weird thing, but it's Barry Manilow. And there's a
Ah,
long story behind it, but I love him. I think he's great.
okay.
Yep.
All right. What was your very first job?
My very first job.
Like when maybe you were a kid.
Oh, yeah. Besides like babysitting and cutting grass, I worked, my title was diet aide, so it sounded like I was a medicine, but I worked in a retirement home and put the trays together for the meals for people. So the low salt. So I ground up a bunch of hamburgers and made them liquid. And I had to make sure everybody got the right food for whatever their, situation was. But it was a retirement home. And my mother worked there with me as a nurse's aide. So it was fun.
How old were you at the time?
15 and 8 months, which is when you could start working with a worker's permit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
I've
right.
always worked. I even babysat when I was before that, and
Okay. All right.
just I like to work.
Okay. Cats or dogs?
Oh, that's a hard one. I I'm in a dog mode right now. I don't own any pets because I travel all the time,
Right.
and that wouldn't work out. But my neighborhood has a lot of dogs, so I've gotten to know a lot of my neighbors through their dogs.
Okay. All right. What advice would you give to a younger Jenn Hoff?
I would say to know that it's gonna all work out, and you never know where you're really gonna end up, and don't be afraid, because when I was younger, if anybody ever told me that I was gonna be an entrepreneur, I grew up on the operations side of the business, which everybody knows is operations, and then
Right.
there's the creative marketing and salespeople. If you told me I was gonna own a company, let alone part of two, I wouldn't have believed it. So know that everything's gonna be okay and it's all gonna work out one way or another, and, you know, don't worry.
Jen, that's great. And you know what? I'm not surprised at that answer because I always know I've known your optimism, and that fits you perfectly, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Three famous people you'd like to have dinner with.
Okay. Well, that's kind of a hard one I to think about, but I would say quickly, well, Barry Manilow. 'Cause he's still kicking and he's still got it. And then Richard Petty, and I have my own personal reasons for that. And
Okay.
Alex Ovechkin, if I can bring my new husband along with me.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, you have a lot of celebrating to do in Washington with you know, Alex breaking the record. So,
Yeah, that was really exciting, and we were watching it on the TV, so very good.
okay, last question. If given a mulligan, a do-over, what
Hmm.
would you do differently?
Hmm. That's a tough one because I like how it's all turned out.
Okay.
So I have no regrets. I think, you know, I wouldn't do anything over again.
Okay. All right.
Maybe keep in touch better with friends,
Okay.
from my past,
Right.
uh, and not let them fade away. But
Right.
I still have a good handful of those too in the picture.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. I like that. Listen, next couple of minutes, Jen, I do. You touched upon really your career, but I want to kind of drill down a little bit further. So, and listen, I know a little bit about your career, right? The NTP portion of it. You
Yeah.
spent quite a few years at NTP,
Yeah.
but
We go way back.
probably under Bob Harrar, right?
Yeah. Bob
And,
Harrar, he
right.
founded that,
And then
younger.
you had a stint with Vinny, Mr. Polito, a
Yeah.
good friend, and then you took the plunge and started your own business.
Yeah.
But prior to NTP, what got you to NTP, I guess? Where were you and what got you to NTP?
Well, everybody has a story of
And
how
just so everybody knows that's listening in, NTP is National Trade Productions, is the name of the company.
yes, and they're based in Alexandria, Virginia.
Right.
They have a long, long, a
Right.
30-plus-year history. They're a great company. And anyway, everybody has a story of how they fell into the business. So that's me. I went to Virginia Tech, was a business major, had some roommates. One of them ended up in Arlington, Virginia after college as an accountant for an association. And she said, there's an entry-level position. It's organizing speakers, and they said because you had worked for a caterer in college, you might be qualified. So I was like, dove right in.
That's a low bar.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought I was organizing it. People know this story, but audio-visual speakers, not people speakers. So the whole interview was a disaster, but she hired me anyway. So then somebody from there ended up going to NTP, and when that association went out of business, I made my way there through that person. So, and NTP was really great to me and gave me so many opportunities. I know a lot of people listening
Yeah.
made a pass through there too, and it's good to see where everybody, that's still there, but everybody else, like where everybody's landed,
Yeah,
good
yeah,
friends.
they're a great organization. Give us a couple shows that you worked on over at NTP. Were you in sales, you were on the operational side of the
I
business?
came up on the operations, really started in the conference side. When Bob started, it was the Fosse show,
Sure, yeah,
and that he owned that and
yeah,
Fed Micro and Fed Imaging, and he sold that to Reed Exhibitions.
yep,
So worked on government Fosse show, um, which he started that, and he didn't know what a trade show was, but he started that show from scratch and grew it up to be a great thing. And then after that, American Public Transportation Association, diving equipment marketing, really fun, diverse shows across all
So
things.
after 20 years, how did you marry, and I don't say marry up, but hook up with Vinny at that point? Obviously, you must have had a relationship with Vinny during your time at NTP,
Yeah,
and then essentially, that kind of relationship kind of, or that partnership grew, but
yeah.
how did that come together?
Well, one of the great things also about NTP is they let me participate in the industry. So I was teaching CEM classes and all of those kinds of things. And I met Vinny I knew Vinny, but I met him really through the board, being on the board of IAEE.
Okay.
And that's another long story short, but
Yeah.
he started up a venture, and I did not think I'd ever leave NTP. And he said, you know what I need? It it's the way I describe it is I keep describing what I need, and people say, that sounds like Jenn Hoff. But he was just joking. And then not long after that, I was like, you know what? If I was ever going to leave, this is something different. So I jumped off to help Vinny, and it led me down this new path. And, everything happens in a great way. And Vinny was really supportive when I said, I think I want to start a company, but I don't know what that really looks like or means. And he's like, great. And so I stayed on with him while I was getting Taffy ramped up, and it really worked out well.
Got it. Now, listen, I know you're an entrepreneur by heart, and really to start your own business, really there's a lot of, there's a lot of challenges, hurdles, risks
Hmm.
on that end. Um, and even probably leaving NTP at that point and going to work for Vinny too, there's a little bit of a risk because you
Yeah,
had the
that was
comfort of
scary.
working under NTP.
Yeah.
I mean, so so hats off to you for doing that. And when you started your own organization, what was was Coverings the first show that you had under you?
Oh, no, it was about a 2 year, you know, before that was even on the horizon. And I was helping Hanley Wood with a few things. I was
Okay,
helping Freeman with some things. I was helping Hargrove with some things. And then Ned Krause had a drone show,
sure.
and I hired a salesperson, and we helped him launch and run this drone show in LA. And it really, I had 8 or 9 different things going on that were smaller. And then when Coverings came along, it was overnight. I went from 3 employees to maybe like 12 right away.
Got
And
it.
then it took off. It really
So
did.
so Jen, under Taffy, do you own any of your shows or you just manage them?
We mostly manage them.
Okay.
However, we do. I got involved with the community of high performance racing in Charlotte, and we are launching a show that's going to be at the first week of June called the High Performance Expo, first time ever.
Great.
That's why I want to have lunch with Richard Petty. But I've met him through all this, but I think it would be fun to sit down with him. But I own that. I went into it because the community said they wanted to have a show,
Right.
and I said, sure, I'll manage a show for you. That's what I do. And they said, well, we want to have a show. And I said, all right, then I'll just do it. So I'm, bootstrapping it and got a lot
Good.
of support from all the right people in the
Good.
space. Hope it's going to be great.
Congratulations on that. So, listen, last portion of this discussion, I really want to talk about, Taffy a little bit more, and even Trifecta at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you are, listen, let's face it, you are extraordinarily busy, right? Juggling, managing Taffy, and also, the co-founder of Trifecta. And I know that, I want you to talk a little bit about Trifecta because, in the short time that it's been created, both you and Rick have had great success. And hopefully that success will continue over the course of the next couple of years. So I guess the question is, how do you balance your time between Trifecta and Taffy? I mean, listen, I know you got great staff at both businesses,
Mhm.
but how do you balance your time? Is it a 50-50 balance? Is it 60-40? Or, tell us a little bit about that.
It's an odd intermingled flow of time, and even in my personal life and fun, um, which also kind of ties in with the industry too. But it's really just knowing how much I can give and where to give it and where to focus. And like I said, Trifecta has been really great in helping me, um, figure out where I fit
Right.
in now that we're operating and running shows, and we've got staff now there too. So I'm really focusing on finding us things to acquire, and
Right.
that's really great. And then on the Taffy side, again, I don't know how to say it, but one of the challenges in starting that, or one of the lessons that I learned, was there's a difference between running a company and running shows.
Right.
And when through the lifespan of Taffy, I was doing both, running the company and running the show part of it. And we've just set it up in a way that it works out. I don't know how else to say it. I also recently got married 6 months ago.
Congratulations.
My husband is retired, and he's gotten into helping me with some of the high performance expo stuff. Like he'll
Good.
go to Cars and Coffee and run a booth.
Good.
So
So,
it works
so
out.
for Trifecta right now, I know that you and Rick are both co-founders. Rick McConnell, so that
Mhm.
everybody knows, Rick's an industry veteran.
Yeah.
Been around for a long, long time. Um, and so, how many events do you have under the Trifecta portfolio?
Well, we just bought a new one up in Canada, and I think we're up to five. And we've got a lot of things in the hopper, and it's really exciting.
So, are you for Trifecta? Are you solely looking for acquisitions, or are you looking for events from an organic growth perspective too? New
Uh,
launches and things like that, creative stuff.
We're more into the acquisition mode, and
Yeah.
then to organically grow and see where we can take them. And that was something interesting because I always came from the show management side through
Yep.
my career of taking care of other people's babies. So one of the things that I always worked with was boards, and
Yep.
it's not my show, but I'm taking care of it for you. And this is what I would do. But they may say, well, don't do that, do this. So I was always navigating how to do that. But what I really learned on the Trifecta side is some of the background there is Rick and Donna and some of the other people that we work with came from more the strategics, the bigger companies that have a lot of shows that they all own, and it's a different world. So I've learned a lot about growing shows and focusing on the numbers and the growth strategies,
Right.
and really figuring out what the opportunities are within a show and how it relates to the industry at large. So it's been fun to kind of look at that side from a different view lens, I
I
guess.
do have, kind of one, I'm looking at the clock here too, Jen. So we're running a little bit long, but I do want to know about, obviously with Trifecta, Gray Lion, who's a private equity firm, is
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
And I think that that was your probably first, I'm assuming maybe your first experience with a private equity firm.
Oh, yeah.
And how's that? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but how's that relationship going regarding, because obviously private equity firms sometimes
A
do
bad
get a
rap.
bad rap, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just
Well,
curious as far as, you know,
Rick and I, we've bared our soul at CISO on the stage before, so it's not a secret, but we when we came up with the idea, we looked at several different organizations, and Rick had a prior relationship with some of those too.
right,
And, Ryan from Gray Lion was involved with Rick in a different life, and we honed in on them, and we were like, this is perfect. And
good,
what I find, like I mentioned, is interesting. You're like private equity, all the
yeah,
stereotypes, but they're actually pretty supportive and nurturing. In
good,
their goal is the same as ours, which is to find interesting things to do and grow the company. And again, the element of all the analyzing and the numbers is always, interesting to hear, and just it's a different angle of looking at a business compared to I'm taking care of other people's babies over here, and we're really focusing. And Rick's a really good motivator and you know strategic growth
yeah,
strategy
yeah,
focused kind of guy. And it works well with them because that's what they want. And so we have a great relationship with them. The
good,
other thing that's interesting is some of the properties we bought, the owners came on and stayed on with us,
okay,
and it's worked out really great for them too. So
good, good,
yeah, it's not always and across everything. I sound like a very optimistic person, which you've told me you think I'm an optimistic person, but it's not always unicorns and lollipops. It's a
yeah,
lot. Like I
yeah.
am a busy person and there is a lot going on, but overall, everything, like I said, no, it's all going to work out, and that's how I ended up.
Well, good, good. I'm glad, and listen, I've enjoyed the conversation. You are actually one of my favorite people in the industry. I can say that, right?
Yeah,
And
sure.
and listen, you and Rick make a great team. I know that.
Oh
And
yeah.
based upon the success that Trifecta has had, and Taffy, I don't want to minimize Taffy. That's
No,
your
it's all
that's
one
your
big
that's
happy
your baby. So,
family.
and
Yep.
and listen, good luck at coverings down in Orlando, but I know it's going to be a success. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
really great.
All right, Jen. Well, listen, all the best, and again, good luck down in for the covering show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.